For today's video, I will be discussing about portfolios found in Chapter 3, Portfolios Paper and Digital. Without further ado, let's now begin! In the far corner of the classroom, we always heard about portfolios being submitted by the student containing their work in progress as well as the finished sample works. Usually, the students exhibit their best work or their highest level of achievements. From here, what is portfolio? In education, portfolio is a purposeful compilation of student work or documented performances that exemplifies their skills, knowledge, personality, and progress toward the attainment of the learning targets. The word purposeful implies that it is not only a collection of work, but it is for educational means to track students' progress in the teaching-learning process. And of course, it can be useful for educational credit. As you can also notice, the personality was mentioned, right? This means that the personal information that you included in your portfolio can greatly reflect on your abilities as an individual and as well as a student with unique capabilities. There are two major types of portfolios. These are the documentation portfolio and growth portfolio. Documentation portfolio. It involves a collection of work of students that act as evidence of their achievements as from the word documentation. The documentation portfolio can be used to validate the result of students' final grade throughout the unit or course. This can also include the best and the weakest of student work, as all necessary documents of their work are compiled in their portfolio. Its physical form is like a scrapbook of information and examples. Includes observations, tests, checklist, and rating skills. For documentation portfolio, it has three types. These are the documentation project, which consists of the projects made by the student. The competence. This involves those skills that demonstrated by students have inside the classroom. And of course, the documentation celebration, which contains the highest score of the student and many more. The second type is growth portfolio. Growth portfolio is a little different from the documentation portfolio. Why? The growth portfolio provides an ongoing record of student proficiency or growth, as well as reveals the change throughout the student's class time with the teacher. You may think that it is not that useful to have this type of portfolio, but the growth portfolio is not only to record student progress. This type of portfolio can build student confidence as they can pinpoint how much their capabilities have improved, and of course, on what course of action to be done by the students or by them to help themselves demonstrate the highest level of achievement. Now, for us to better understand documentation portfolio and growth portfolio, I have here examples. Documentation portfolio. We could have the highest scored test or the highest graded paper of the student, or we could also include the best project that are collected by the student themselves. For the growth portfolio, we could have the journey of writing essay that shows improvement of students or show progress of how well the student can construct essay from the start up to the end of the unit or course. Another would be drawing of the students from the beginning of the class up to the last week of the subject. In here, the students can actually see how his drawing skills have improved and show different themes from basic to difficult. All these are examples of portfolios that can help students to track their own learning progress, validate their performances, and aid their needs improvement. Meanwhile, the teacher could have a clearer picture of in what extent students have learned in the teaching learning process. Portfolios may come in different forms, from notebooks, graphics, or digital. Each form has its own purposes and it is systematic. I guess I reached the end of my discussion. I hope you learned something from this video. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.